Hello, all my wonderful people on the internet. My name is Caitlin, and I'm the wonderful Wiccan here on YouTube and the Witch of Whispering Oaks. I am joined by my supervisor, get super, advisor Lou. He's watching outside. Today I'm actually bringing you the first Urban Legends video, and this will be going in a separate playlist other than educational. So instead of doing a top 10, I decided to do a top 4 because these videos do take a while for me to record and research and edit to add pictures and stuff. So today we are actually doing Romanian urban legends. One of them was requested, one of the points was requested by a friend of mine who is a subscriber, and I will get on with the list. So let's get started. So number 1 is the Strigoi. The Strigoi are vampiric in nature, which means they do drink blood. There's actually a type of vampire that also eats flesh, but this is not it. It is vampiric in nature, and it's a shapeshifter, so it can turn into bat, wolf, fog, etc., like Count Dracula in Bram Stoker's book. There are many ways to become a Strigoi. Sometimes it's caused by an unnatural death, such as execution or suicide. You can also be born the 7th child of the same gender, like the 7th son of a 7th son or 7th daughter, etc. Or you can be attacked. You can turn into a Strigoi from being attacked by a Strigoi, such as the most famous case of a Strigoi is Peter Blakovic. I'm sorry if I butchered that. But he was a Serbian peasant in the 18th century. Back then, they were trying to bring in farmers at the time to settle parcels of land, and they'd rather be. It was during the time when the Muslim Turks. The Ottoman Turks were invading Eastern Europe at the time. And he was kind of like a freedom fighter, a guerrilla fighter, because he and several others would attack the Ottomans in their forts to get supplies, etc. So one night he was coming back from a patrol, and he was attacked by a Strigoi. He tracked it in the morning to where it was resting and killed it and did something gross with its blood by rubbing the blood on himself, thinking it would cure him. Nope, he died. And after he died, like a couple days after he died, his son he knocked on his door's son at night. I'm sorry, I'm getting so tongue-tied today. He knocked on his son's door. There we go. And asked for nourishment, food, blood, etc. The son gave him what he had. Then the father came back the next night asking it for more nourishment. The son then said he didn't have any. And that is when things took a turn for the worse. His family started dying. His neighbors started dying off. And they got the peasants had an idea that it was him causing these deaths. So they had to go to the bishop, who had to go to a military official, and they dug up his body, and they found that it was still looking like it was fresh, alive, and there was blood trickling out of its ears, mouth, nose, eyes, etc., which we now know is a stage of decay. And they did drive a stake through his heart, and along with the victims that have died, and burned all of their bodies to ashes to prevent him from rising up again. And those stakings are actually still going on to this day, just not in the city, more in the rural areas, farmlands. And one case I heard about, was before the pandemic, like 2008 or something like that. The family members dug up, drove a stake, but they were just given a slap on the wrist. They were given jail time, but wasn't enforced. So it's kind of a thing over there. They just slap you on the wrist to show that it's not really looked well upon, you know. But it's something that's been going on there for centuries, so they're not going to try and fight it. Now, number 2 is a Pericolici. A Pericolici. It is actually another form of the undead, and it's still being cited in the rural areas. It's a form of the undead. However, this one takes the form of a giant wolf. And usually these are more these people that turn into these after they died are usually violent and murderous men. So think about criminals and abusive husbands, etc. I could not find a lot of information on these, besides the fact that Eastern Europe still has a good wolf population. So now we're moving on to number 3, Hoia Baciu Forest. I actually got that right. I'm proud of myself. Hoia Baciu Forest. It is actually known as the Romanian Bermuda Triangle. Things go in, but they never come out. You know, except for one case. I'll get to that in a second. So it is a Romanian forest that is 729 acres. There are multiple legends surrounding it, including the fact that it is haunted because it is so old. And one of the most recent things was in the 1960s, UFOs were still sighted. ET does not want to go home, apparently. And one of the cool things about this forest is what kind of throws some people off, but I think it's cool, are how the trees, which are pictured right there, they grow in a curve shape. I just think that's pretty cool, honestly. I like unusual looking plants. Here's a legend about things going in but not coming out. There was a shepherd, and he drove his flock of sheep into the forest, but they never came out. Another time, a girl went in, and about 5 years later, she reappeared, not knowing what happened. So some things do come out, I guess. And lastly, at number 4, we have, of course, the big guy himself, Vlad Tepesh Dracula. So he's also known as Vlad the Impaler because that was one of his favorite punishments for his enemies, mainly the Turks. He and his father belonged to the Order of the Dragon, which was to protect the church from invading Ottoman Turks. He lived from 1431 to 1477, so he was 46 years old at the time of death. The A added to his name meant son of, making his name son of the dragon or son of the devil, because he was so much more bloodthirsty than his father. Now there is some debate among people today about whether he was a good ruler or a tyrant. There was one thing that he did to keep order in the villages. He would put a golden cup at the village's well, and anybody that was caught stealing, who had stolen that cup, would be executed. So yes, I guess you could call him a ruler with an iron fist. He was trying to keep order in a time that was so chaotic from invasions, etc. Another way he punished his enemies was he had like bear and wolf pits at his castle, which is reported to be haunted by his spirit and his wife's spirit. What he would do is just basically push them in from the opening in the wall, push them in food. In his grave is kind of a curiosity, because there are 2 locations that they believe his grave should have been at. One is on an island where a monastery was. There was a grave marker, but no body. Another is like a shrine to him, and where his grave is supposed to be, where his body is supposed to be in the grave, it's a wolf skeleton. So nobody really knows where he's buried. Uh, so that is the list for today. I hope y'all enjoy it. If y'all have any more suggestions about countries, comment down below, and I will see what I can do. I do have a idea, only if nobody comments. Alright? So everybody have a great day. Blessed be. Bye.